Why is this not?
I was a student at the University of Ohio, and I am
This
really
is the real long
superstitious.
legs.
Quite a bit of strange incidents have happened to me, but I'll mention the biggest one. You all have probably heard of Room 428 in the Wilson Hall of Ohio University. I'd count this as my lack of luck that I got that room once. And yeah, I escaped it because I saw creepy things. But that story's for another time. In early 2009, my idol singer and the greatest entertainer of all time, Michael Jackson, announced a series of comeback concerts known as This Is It. It got canceled though because of his sudden death on June 25th, 2009. I luckily got those tickets, but after it was canceled, I was really sad. At that time, I had moved to London because I really wanted to
You
see the
kidding me? It's a
concerts.
Michael Jackson
I think
story.
that was my biggest mistake. Anyway, I lived in an apartment. Behind the apartment were a few buildings, and behind that were woods beside the police station. And if you go beyond the woods, you will find a lake and also some mountains. One day, in our apartment gym, I started practicing Michael Jackson's Billie Jean dance. Suddenly, a friend of mine, let's call him Luke, said to me that he had seen something strange down there. I replied, "What?" He said he had seen this guy with a hoodie stabbing something. "Oh, nah, bruh," I replied. "I am not going to risk my life. Sorry, it must be your imagination," I added. "Bro, are you messed up? Let's explore
Bro.
it," said Luke.
Oh
But I
no, bro.
refused again. He left the apartment disappointed. I knew he was coming up with some sort of prank, so yeah, I ain't doing that. Days and months had passed. December rolled around, and I was extremely excited for Christmas. Christmas came, and I was wandering in the streets. I spoke with my family who lived in Ohio at the time a few hours earlier, and I was feeling really active.
Ohio
I
Riz.
wanted to do an amazing activity. As I was passing by the shops, snow was rolling down and there was a lot of traffic in the road, with people and kids running and walking and all that. And an idea clicked in my mind. Let's go out for a walk near the woods with my friend Luke. I called Luke and told him let's go. He was excited. It was around 10 p.m. and he came with his car. I was sitting on the curb waiting and he parked his car in the police parking lot. And there we go. We started walking with our flashlights. Just to give a little background, the area consisted of two sections, Section A and Section B. Section A was where we came from.
Did I
it
like
led straight
miss
to the
something?
buildings and to
What
my
the fuck
apartment.
is?
And Section B led straight to the woods.
How did this
And
happen?
God knows how deeper. We chose Section B and decided to walk around. There was a sign that we saw before we entered the woods. There was something strange written on it, DND, and below that was Do Not Disturb. "Ah, you think we're scared," said Luke, and we entered the woods. I wasn't ready to go, because as soon as I entered, I felt an eerie feeling. Something felt like it was looking at us or watching us. I was thinking to myself that there was this feeling, this odd feeling, that to be honest, I had never felt before. Luke accidentally dropped his phone, and then I heard something rustling in the woods. Luke whispered to me, "Let's go a little deeper." As soon as he said that, I heard a strange voice. I'd prefer not to describe what I heard because it was too awful. But I ran so fast that I left Luke behind. As I was running, I saw the exit of Section B and ran straight towards the Section A where my apartment was. I didn't even know where I was running to be honest. I almost blacked out. I couldn't hear Luke coming, but I ran for my life straight to my apartment. I went straight to the elevator and came to my floor, and then my room, and straight to my bed. I had to calm down a bit, but then I realized I left Luke behind. I didn't care much though. I looked out my window straight over to the police department where the woods were located. I didn't see much, but I also didn't see Luke's car there. That meant he ran away too, but I could definitely see there was something. Something in the woods that appeared to be maybe a phone. I supposed that was Luke's phone. I didn't care much. I peacefully
What?
slept the whole night, and I didn't
You
stress
were a
out about it
phone?
too much. However, that's not the end of the story. It was New Year's Eve. It was December 31st, 2009. I didn't hear anything from Luke again, however. It was around 3 p.m., and I went outside. I was meeting with Luke. He was standing there, and when he saw me, he didn't even say hello or hi. All he said was,
Luke was
"Dude, I
phone.
need to show you something." I said, "What?" He pulled out his arm and showed me. It had
What
a lot
even
of
was
bloody
he doing?
marks on it. I was shocked. He said that when he was running away, something was cutting him or possibly biting. He ran away like Usain Bolt and took his car away and ran straight downtown to his apartment. However, in a rush, he crashed into another car and got injured. I said, "Oh man, did you get your phone back?" He said, "No. Want to go and check?" I really wanted to
No.
refuse, but I was curious. We went back to the woods, and surprisingly, no phone was there. Luke was a stupid ass dude and went deep into the woods. I just waited for him. I didn't want to risk my life for a phone. I waited and waited, and I checked my phone and minutes had passed. Then half an
Seriously,
hour later,
why did this start with
nothing.
Michael Jackson?
He didn't return. Okay, I am not returning there. I have to do something, I mumbled. I then shouted, "Luke! Luke, are you there?" No response. I turned back and started walking towards my apartment because I knew he would return anyway. I heard something. It was that person with the hoodie. They said, "Hey man, want to look at something?" I ran for my life. I called 911 after I reached my apartment. Well, the police came to the location of the woods, and what they found was disturbing. They found Luke kidnapped and fainted.
Oh.
Luke was sent to the hospital, and he explained to me later that he got kidnapped. Unfortunately, Luke got hooked on drugs, and he later died in 2015.
What?
I moved to Texas and never returned to London. I hope Luke is in a good place.
He's dead. Did it have anything to do with, like, there's just a bunch of random things. Luke was addicted to, yep, you guessed it.
Hi.
Yeah, I don't think so. Oh, that duck is dead.
I was attacked by a monster in the lake. I won't tell you the country and area I live in. When I was 21, my friends and I decided to check out the big lake nearby. The three of us got to the lake. It was a beautiful sight. This lake is not that popular since it's not a famous tourist site. Naturally, the lake has not seen that many visitors. We
This
decided
lake
to
had
fish there.
giant bugs.
It's originally banned to fish there, but we thought we wouldn't get caught anyways. We settled down with our fishing rods. We caught much fish, continuing to catch one big fish after another. Meanwhile, I could feel something strong tugging my rod. This is a gigantic fish, I thought, pulling with all my might, but it wouldn't come out of the water, so I thought my rod was stuck under a rock. It wouldn't even budge, so I thought, damn, it got stuck under a rock, and tried to shake the rod left and right to get it out of there. It was that moment. Suddenly, an enormous force sucked my rod in and ended up falling into the water from the strength. It happened so fast that I couldn't even let go. All my friends laughed at me after I fell into the water. But the fishing rod was sucked into the water in the blink of an eye.
All right,
All
well,
of us
sucks
were
to be you, man.
surprised by that. It was as if a giant fish with great strength, maybe like a shark, was living in this lake. I was frightened and tried to swim my way out. And at that moment, I stepped on something big. It was not the ground, it was moving. I could instinctively feel from the touch. It was a giant being. But there can't be a giant fish like a shark in a lake. I was absolutely terrified, and I swam toward the land to get out of the water. My friends also shouted to come quickly, and I saw their faces were suddenly seized with fear. I witnessed a massive shadow over the water in front of me. A gigantic monster jumped out of the water right in front of me. It was a monster, not a fish. How should I describe it? I didn't get to give a good look during that urgent situation, but the feeling that I got at that brief moment was that it looked like a dinosaur. It didn't eat me, fortunately. I frantically swam out of the water, and when I stepped on the land, it tried to attack me from my back, but I managed to kick it at its mouth. It went back into the water after that. Even at a glance, it was gigantic, like the size of a whale. I barely stepped onto the land and fell to the ground with my friend shrieking. I couldn't feel my legs, and my whole body was shaking. I saw the giant shadow slowly disappearing into the water. My friends and I stared at the water for a while. Then, we immediately packed and drove back home at a high speed. We reported it to the police, but they thought we were pulling a prank. The lake was too big and deep, so it would be difficult to properly search for it too. Since that
Look at this
day,
guy just
we
wasting
never
all this
even
water.
went back near that lake ever
Turn
again.
the water off, man.
I was traumatized from the incident and quit doing the thing I used to love, fishing. I can't even go into the water anymore. What was that I saw back then?
What the fuck? Is he
Was it
just
just a
flooding the
gigantic
bathroom?
fish? Or was it some other life form that we don't know of? I still cannot forget the fear of that day.
Why would you do that? He was just flooding his bathroom. I don't know. Anyone have any explanation?
This
And that
story
rat
happened when
sucked
I
in.
was just a child, and I will never forget it. At the time, I was only a young man, maybe 12 or so. I lived in a very small place. So small it was considered a hamlet, not a town or village. Well, this town was always a very odd place, consisting of 3 churches and a cemetery on a hill. I lived just on the outskirts of the town with my grandpa.
Just
who
a
was
house in a
world-renowned
cemetery?
psychic and clairvoyant, a faith healer. So from a young age, I was exposed to many mystical events, along with the members of my family. So one day I invited my friend over to spend the weekend at my place. I had been exploring the woods and found where the creek in the village passed behind my house. It was a new spot for us to check out and spend time at. As children in the country, we enjoyed doing things outside, and the woods were a great place to find new things. I was always weary of the woods because I had experienced weird things there, and I was trying to build my courage as a young man to overcome my fear of the woods. Well, my friend came over on a Friday, and I told him about the new spot I found that I wanted us to check out. So we decided to go the next day. as it
Friend,
was
listen,
Saturday,
I'm
and
an
I had to
8-year-old.
use a
I'm trying to
fork after
build my
school on Friday.
courage.
So that tied me up till the next day. So me and my friend woke up and got ready to go out to this new spot. We went through the woods and we had to cross
The
a
fuck?
swamp by traversing a metal cow fence and walking by putting our feet in the holes of the fence and climbing sideways to the other side. When we got to the other side, we passed through a clearing, through a path and down a hill to the creek. We started looking around and checking the place out. It was a nice day. The sun was shining and it was blue skies. All of a sudden, I noticed an old plaid sleeping bag which was not there when I had been there before. My friend asked me what it was, and I said I didn't know, and that it wasn't there the last time I was here. Then, all of a sudden, we both felt a weird sensation and looked at each other. I took a stick and slowly went over to the sleeping bag to open it up and looked inside. Well, nothing could have prepared me for what we found. As I slowly lifted the sleeping bag open, me and my friend both screamed out loud. What lay before us was a deep red pile of bloody guts. There was no mistaking it. What we saw was internal innards of something or someone. You could see the intestines and blobs of internal organs and thick blood. Me and my friend both started to
Thick
feel
blood.
sick and had a terrible feeling that something was there. We both started running as fast as we could, and I took a look back, and all I saw was a dark being, and the branches and limbs of the trees moving behind me as whatever it was that was chasing us caused the trees to flutter as it ran through. We ran so fast that we went right through the swamp, which was waist deep and muddy and gross and filled with God only knows what.
He looks like he's Scout.
We got home and were just
Like young
silent and did not
Scout.
talk about it for a while. I never told my grandpa because I thought he wouldn't believe me. Me and my friend never went into those woods again together. I did later as I was older. I had a few more weird experiences, but that one was the most gruesome and unpleasant event I experienced in those woods. I look back to that.
Corey. Hey, Corey, hey. Corey. I need your help. Come on. I gotta go get some vitamin C. Got a lot of stuff to get off the list today. Come on.
God, you dropped the pillow!
Normal Target trip, right? I guess.
Hope you check one out yourself. Like I said, description's down below. Till next time, just remember, life's a hike. So hike happy with a Yeti cooler.
In the bed with my angels. Can you believe you could be living like this? But instead, you gotta go to Target with your fucking wife.
I'm outside of time. I'm outside of currency.
I'll never have a family. Your body is bread.
Body's bread.
Corey. You okay?
I think he's dead.
Corey.
Think he's
The
dead.
personification of I don't give a fuck. You think you know me? You got no idea.
Okay, Corey. Get up. Hey.
What?
Take it easy.
What's
Take
the
a
matter?
breath.
Where am I?
Did you eat?
Oh,
We're
sorry.
gonna go home, okay? I need you to be a partner. And all the energy is spent on, are you okay? Are you taking care of yourself? I have to be a person for you. I need you to be present. You can't be a ghost.
Top 10 Vegas tips.
Pawn Stars cast member Corey Harrison arrested over the...
I'm outside of time. If you're watching this and you're not here, you're a fucking loser right now. Come on. I'm gonna go away for a couple of days. Really? Yes. I know, like, biologically how to have sex, right?
Yeah?
I have to get stronger.
I'm gonna produce, you're gonna sing.
Stop!
I get your heart racing in the skin tight jeans in the teenage dream tonight.
It's Hunter O'Malley.
Tonight. the fuck up. Have you seen this guy walking around here at all? Have you seen him?
No, I've not.
Have you guys seen him?
It looks like you, bro.
I know, it looks exactly like me, and he says, my name's Corey, and he says that his name is Corey.
I'm gonna fucking go nuts. I gotta fucking find this guy.
No, I know, but he's been posting videos as me.
He looks just like you.
I know, he looks exactly like me, and he's posting fucking...
Your twin or something? What's his deal?
I don't know.
He's a party animal.
He is. I mean,
He's a fucking savage.
Color reminds me of what's his name from Peace Return? Huggy.
Stop! Stop coughing!
Bro, like seriously, what the fuck is this shit? Relax. Chill out. Dude, you're fucking copying me. You know who you are? You're a fucking poser, man.
What did you say? What did you call me?
I called you a fucking poser, man.
Alan Resnick worked on this with Connor for him. This part is Alan Resnick. AI shit. Done a couple of videos together now.
Yeah! Corey!
I love it.
We're gonna take
Fucking
all
love
the
it.
breeding age females and bring them to Las Vegas, and I'll distribute them to the men who have changed their names to Corey. No kings, no presidents, no senators, just Corey. I don't need to sleep. I don't use currency. I'm not a part of this time. I used to be 2 Coreys, now I'm 1. What are you guys into? What do you do?
We're tech.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's all going away.
It's all going away.
Currency, everything. We're gonna flip into a new society.
What do you do?
I'm outside of space and time. Change your name to Corey. After that, you will be executed. If you don't change your name to Corey in 3 months, you're gonna be executed. I just absorbed Corey. I just absorbed him and became Ultimate Corey. I have to go kill his family. I gotta go drive. After this, I'm gonna go kill his family. We have to cauterize the wound so there's no other Corys. Yes! Yes! We are here tonight! This is me! Are you getting this? Are you filming them? Hurry up! Unlock it!
Unlock it.
My son. Where's Daddy? What is he doing?
Corey?
Hey.
Hey.
I love you.
I love you too. Okay.
Yeah. I'm just really fucking hungry.
It follows. Sometimes you gotta take your bad self out into the desert. And ego death. A little bit. It'll always come and get you.
Temples. My life ain't like a door pencil. Cause I'm on my own path, no stencil. Was always a misfit. Teachers like thongs, always up in my business. And I failed statistics. But I ace said, oh, said life would have roadblocks. Now I bet you a square, you Roblox. Won the Super Bowl with my hands behind my back. I just do whatever I want, and that's facts. I'ma live till 1,000. Hit a whip, then jump off a mountain. Living life with no plans. Look, mama, no hands. No hands. No hands. No hands. No hands. Living life like it's double XP weekend. Pack a punch, ray gun, tight feeling. I don't even gotta try hard. 100 credits on my round one game card. Uncrustable and an orange soda. Beat so lows and I'm bumping over. Write my bars with no hands. That's the joint, that's the jam. Yeah, I'm a family man. Feeling like Drake, God had a plan. Helped my little sis open a business.
I guess that Drake reference is a little
Number stacking like Tetris.
late now.
Master man with the metrics. Don't got bins, but I'm in one. No hands, don't need none. Look, mama, no hands. Look, no hand, no hand. Look, mama, no hands. Mama, no hands.
I like that they produced that whole album in that Pokemon room. Here's a link to that. Here's a link to that Connor O'Malley video too. So we can catch you guys up on that. Yeah, they really are good. That's I don't even know if I know how to pronounce the name of the group. It's Joey Valence and Bray. I don't know. I've been listening to them for a few weeks now. Been out for a while, but just getting into it. Pretty good, I thought. It's just like a fucking major BC Boys flow, kind of. It's like goofy as fuck too. I don't know. Always into something. Always into some rap lyrics about Roblox. Why not? Why the fuck not, man? All right. That's what we were saying about like Jenko jeans and stuff. Like, you know, all that stuff is cool. Back. Even for like longer than it was here for originally, it feels like now. How about yeah, that came out a month ago. Isn't that's what I mean. That's funny. It's funny to me. All right. About a ghost story.
I'm Kenneth, and this is my story in which me and my friends visited a haunted mansion, and we regret it till this day.
Kenneth regret it?
I'm 21 now, but this story
This guy.
happened when I was 14. My friends were crazy about horror stories and haunted houses, so one day we decided to visit a haunted mansion, which was near our school. So we left early and went there. Oh, I forgot to introduce my friends.
Oh.
They were Jeff and Jack. Okay, so when we got there, we tried to quietly enter the house, but the doors were rusty and they made a lot of sound. After finally getting in, the first thing we laid eyes on was a painting of a child and his father. So Jeff explained the story of both. By the time the child was in 7th grade, he was struggling to keep up with school. So whenever he received low marks, his father would take him to the basement and beat him with his cane. So one day the boy was fed up with his father and murdered him in the basement. After a few days, neighbors noticed the father hadn't left the mansion, so they decided to check it out. When they went in, they saw the father's body and got scared and ran out of the mansion. Then, the doors closed automatically behind them. Now, people say that in the night they hear a boy crying or laughing and saying, "I need revenge." We were scared after listening to the story, but we needed to explore. We decided to visit the basement last, so we checked all the rooms on the ground floor first. We found nothing in the first and second room, but in the third room, which was the last, we found some books with splashes of dried blood on them. We got spooked and ran out of the room. Then we decided to go to the first floor, and when we found the stairs, we heard a noise, but we all agreed it was nothing. When we reached the first floor, the doors and windows started opening and closing on their own. We got scared, and then we heard malevolent laughing and a creepy voice that said, "I need revenge." Then we ran to the door, but it was closed tight. So we tried to push the door, but it would not open.
We get it, man.
There was a broken window near it, so we jumped through it and ran to the nearby road.
Wait, what?
As we stopped to catch our
the
breath,
broken part was not the
Jack
broken
pointed
part.
to a window on the mansion. When we looked, we saw a boy there, standing and grinning at us. We ran away from there as fast as possible. We didn't tell anyone about this incident.
Why would you not tell anyone? Like, isn't that really that bad? Guys, this one's going to be really scary for someone, possibly a few of you.
My name is Kushi Singhal, and I'm a 17-year-old living in Delhi, India. So the story goes like this. This incident happened to me a few months back. One day, I was returning from coaching classes, and as usual, people were crowded on the streets, and the hour of the day was also a busy one, probably 6 in the evening. I was really tired that day, so I decided to book a cab home for myself instead of taking the bus. It was a distance of about 21 miles between my home and class, and it took about 1.5 to 2 hours to reach home. While I was in the cab, suddenly I was shaken a bit and the car stopped just about a mile away from my home, but because it was so
probably
dark,
because they're always
it seemed to be a pretty long
trying to make
journey.
stories
So I
for
decided to walk home as it was too
children
late to
watching
take
YouTube,
another
I guess.
vehicle. After walking for a few minutes, I realized that a girl, probably the same age as me, was sitting behind the bushes just nearby where I was standing. Out of curiosity, I asked the girl if she needed any kind of help, and then she gently lifted her head up and said in a low voice, "Thank you for your concern. Actually, I have hurt my leg while I was walking by the side. Could you please give me your handkerchief so that I can clean the wound?" I said, "Okay, but please tell me if you've told
Then
your
I
family
did,
about
and
this."
then I
To
went
which
home,
She said,
and nothing scary
"Yes, I've
happened."
contacted them, and they'll be getting here any moment. But the wound is really hurting, and I need to cover it as soon as possible." So I searched my bag, and as soon as I was about to give her my handkerchief, an old man came towards me, grabbed my arm, and immediately took me to the other side and said, "Hey kid, I was watching you for a few minutes. Who are you talking to over there?" Then I replied, "I was speaking to that girl over there to ask if she needed my help and was about to give her my hanky, but you grabbed my hand." And the next thing the man said to me left me in complete silence and with a deep horror inside of me. "Listen, the girl which you are referring to was nowhere there. And I guess it was not a human, but the ghost of the girl who died 26 years ago in a road accident here. And it's good that you haven't given any of your
What?
belongings to her, because if you had, it would be a really big problem for you, like you can't even imagine. Now don't stop anywhere until you reach home." I was left shaken and out of my senses. I ran straight home as fast as I could. When I reached home, my mother opened the door and said, "Kushi, who's this girl with you? One of your friends?" Without even listening to what she said next, I came in and closed the door and went straight to my room. That night I couldn't sleep, so I tried to calm myself down. I fell asleep and ultimately woke up the next morning. I then realized I was lucky enough that I didn't give this girl my handkerchief, because if I had done so, she probably would have chased me. And the girl that accompanied me the previous night was the same girl I had encountered. I am really thankful to the old man for saving my life.
Who would have known? Who'd have known? And we're taking a little break. We'll be back in one moment. No questions. know. I just saw this video. It was a thumbnail. Let's check it out. The long neck ghost. It's all urban legend stuff. New channel. Could be cool. I don't know anything about it.
Today, I'm going to tell you something that my father went through. In the past, in my father's village, there was a still custom called One Night with the Dead. At that time, the custom of this region was very respectful of men and despised women. The status of women at that time was quite low. When returning to her husband's house, the woman often had to do hard work. If she did not do well, a woman might be beaten and tortured by her husband as a matter of course. No one had the right to interfere in other people's family affairs, and no one could protect the woman. And of course, the woman's family certainly wouldn't want that to happen to their children. Sometimes the police interpreted the woman's cause of death as suicide, and the husband's family would not bear any punishment. So, in the village, a custom was formed that was, for the first 7 days after the wife's death, the village youth would tie the husband up and lock him up with the wife's body for 1 night.
What?
If nothing happened in the following morning, it meant that the cause of death had nothing to do with the husband or that the deceased had forgiven the husband. The purpose of custom was for the man to suffer some torture for his wife's family to calm down. When my father was young, his friend's sister married. After returning to her husband's house, she hanged herself a month later. So with the support of the brothers, they went to the husband's village and tied the man to perform the above custom. My father said that at the time the man was still very resolute and stubborn, saying that he was very good to his wife and that she had mental problems, so he committed suicide. When the husband found that he would be locked in a room with his wife's body, he got so scared that he screamed and begged to be released. They left him with his wife's body. If he was fine the following morning, he would be free. Before leaving, these people turned off the lights and locked the doors. Suddenly, the whole room was dark. Only the light of the moon shining through the window. The space was completely dark. Only the man and a hanging corpse remained. The husband's eyes were fixed on the corpse. A feeling of fear enveloped him. In this situation, no matter how brave the husband was, he couldn't stand it. He felt fear,
I'm not half
his
the
heart
man I
pounding in his
used to
chest,
be.
holding his breath and hoping for a quick morning. The wife's body was covered with a white sheet, motionless. Outside, the husband's screams could be heard clearly. Until midnight, he was too tired to stop. But at this moment, terrible things began to happen to him. He looked directly at the corpse, his whole body shaking with fear. Suddenly, there was a sound in his wife's corpse. The corpse in the room suddenly giggled, accompanied by a terrifying laugh. The corpse shook unceasingly and it stretched the white cloth. The corpse suddenly stood up slowly. Moments later, the corpse was standing upright with its hair covering its face, and it was moving towards the husband. The corpse's legs had already left the ground and slowly rose. Slowly, the corpse was hovering close to the husband, like when hanging in the house. Despite her husband's pitiful pleas, the corpse drew closer and closer. A pair of white teeth opened and a pale face appeared. The corpse revealed a pair of bloodshot eyes, staring at the man as if to say something resentful. Immediately after, a more horrifying scene happened.
Oh shit.
The neck of the wife's corpse suddenly lengthened. Just like that, the neck stretched out nearly 2 meters like a snake and approached the husband. the large pale face leaned straight in front of her husband. He stared blankly and couldn't move his body because he was so scared. The husband was sweating, unable to make a sound, staring blankly at the body and waiting for the terrible thing to happen to him. The corpse of the woman did not speak, but growled and stared at him with an increasingly angry and fierce expression. Suddenly, the wife opened her mouth wide and rushed towards her husband. The scene was terrible. Suddenly, a scream rang out. The husband was so scared that he peed his pants. He kept begging his wife not to come near him.
Peed his pants.
The people who locked him were peeking outside like they were watching a horror movie, and the main character was the husband.
Okay.
Yes, they did not leave. They arranged everything to teach the husband a lesson, as well as force him to confess what he did to lead to the death of his wife. The father's friend was smugly viewing the frightened husband inside. Suddenly, he stopped when he heard a familiar voice from the group behind him. He turned back amazed and confused. "Oh my God, aren't you supposed to be inside pretending to be the ghost?" The friend of my father's friend thought that his cousin was pretending to be the ghost inside. But why was he standing with them outside now? After seeing their cousin still standing there, the rest of them were equally surprised. But the cousin was even more surprised. He took off his wig and said that the plan was predetermined, that it was still half an hour before scaring the husband. It was too early. They were all confused and felt that something was wrong. So who was pretending to be a ghost and scaring the husband inside? The cousin at this time also scratched his head and said, "Strange, isn't it? Do you think the ghost is real?" At this point, these people looked at each other. They deduced that if this cousin was still standing outside, what they saw inside was the real ghost of his wife. They were all scared now.
What?
Confused and didn't know what to do. Everyone's limbs were as cold as freezing, not daring to move. They slowly looked inside again. It was scary. The long neck of the ghost was threatening the
Reminds me
man
like a dinosaur.
inside. Looking closely, they could see that
Mottled.
it was indeed a real ghost. And the fear was at its peak. They screamed and ran out of the yard. The following morning, these people dared to come back here to check. The woman's corpse was still lying in the house, and the husband had fainted from fear. The man then went crazy, crying and laughing, and saying crazy things to get his wife's forgiveness.
That looks really cool. A job finding corpses in the river? My God.
The story occurred in a river which ran through my village. People frequently drowned in the area due to the fast and deep currents. At the time, there was a family who stood by the river.
Like, it's just
all
a
with
little bit
sad
more unique
expressions,
looking though.
looking
Yeah.
at the water and lamenting. The reason was that their son drowned while bathing in the river, so they sought the assistance of Mr. Kang, who specialized in retrieving dead bodies from the river. Because it has been many hours with no results, the deceased family was concerned. All of a sudden, at the
Speaking
precise
of-
moment, the man pointed to the
After
water
this story,
and exclaimed loudly,
Watch this cool
"Come back!
OVA
Come
last
back!"
night. I'm gonna tell you guys about.
With their expectant eyes, the three-person family looked down at the river. They saw Mr. Kang and his wooden boat. Mr. Kang, who had a shabby and austere face, worked as a boatman on the river as well as a body picker. The victim's family was very worried and anxiously waited for Mr. Kang's wooden boat to
Just like how it's
arrive.
layered and
The boat
There's obviously like
approached
a
the shore slowly.
filter.
The river was
Like
now
greeny.
rising, so the
Alright,
boat
but-
swayed, and Mr. Kang had to work
Animation's
hard
just
to
a little
keep the
different
boat
than
afloat.
Swansea, I guess.
Next, Mr. Kang quickly
Bit
rowed
more
to
intricate.
shore. When Mr. Kang's boat docked, the victim's 3 family members looked at the wooden boat, worried, and the mother's face was sad. There was nothing in the dug-out canoe but
But
a
what about
fishing net.
what is it, the River Ganges?
With tears in
Ganges?
her eyes, the mother asked Mr. Kang if he could retrieve her son's body, her voice filled with pain. Mr. Kang did not respond, instead quietly raising his wrist, which had a rope attached to it. He stretched one end of the rope into the water while the other appeared to be tied to a heavy object, and he was attempting to pull it. Mr. Kang's face became dull and solemn. He still did not open his mouth
Yes,
to
the
speak,
Gengar River.
but his gaze was fixed on the river's surface. When
Oh, yeah, the
Mr.
ice
Kang
cream
pulled the
one, that was
rope
weird.
out of the water, a white corpse's arm was pulled out with it, shocking everyone. It turned out that Mr. Kang tied the body with a rope and dragged him to the shore. According to locals here, drowning people should not be put on the boat because it would be very unlucky. Mr. Kang remained silent as he brought the body ashore. He then turned around and returned to the boat. As the mother witnessed the pitiful
Jesus.
scene unfolding in front
Just
of her
fucked up.
eyes, she sobbed and screamed as she gazed at her son's corpse. Mr. Kang was used to such scenes, and he rowed away calmly. Mr. Kang's boat was about to leave the dock when a man reached out and called out to him. "Mr. Kang, wait!" The man presented Mr. Kang with a large sum of money in exchange for Mr. Kang retrieving their son's body. Mr. Kang, on the other hand, refused the money and sailed away. "I'm not doing this for the money. Take care of your son's funeral well."
Well, these are like
I'm
urban
leaving.
legend, like folktale ones, so they are
Mr. Kang did
dark
not
as fuck,
despise
yes.
money. Rather, a heartbreaking incident in his past had changed his mind. Previously, Mr. Kang had both rowed and caught fish in the river. If there was any dead body floating in the river, Mr. Kang would also pick it up to take advantage of some extra money. The story took place 5 years ago. Only Mr. Kang was famous for picking up dead bodies in the river. When the body of the victim was discovered, Mr. Kang did not immediately hand it over to the victim's family, instead allowing them to kneel and beg on the shore. Because
guy's,
the poor
kinda
couple
fucked
did
up.
not have enough money to pay Mr. Kang, they prayed and pleaded with him to reduce the price to allow them to receive their son's body. So Mr. Kang thought for a while and then lowered the price. However, the price was still too high in comparison to the poor couple's family, so the old woman.
I think it's
cried
also
out
because
and
there's like
begged
shading
Mr.
in
Kang
these
to be
pictures
merciful
and
reduce
animations,
the
and the
money
other
for
ones are
them.
just like flat.
When confronted with the situation, the old
Colors,
man cried
you know.
out and said, "I beg you, we will pay you a little in advance. The rest we will borrow and pay you later." Having said that, both the old couple continued to bow their heads to Mr. Kang, who was still holding the rope to hang their son's body and considering the old man's suggestion. Mr. Kang then agreed to accept the money and delivered the body to the old couple for them to bring it back. Mr. Kang's wife died young, and the family had a daughter who married as well. Because she was concerned that her father would be alone, she would come home every weekend and took advantage of making a delicious meal for Mr. Kang. Today, having a good amount of money, Mr. Kang happily bought wine and meat ready for a delicious meal with his dear daughter. He handed his daughter the large piece of pork he was holding in his hand and told her to make the casserole. Mr. Kang's daughter was now his only source of comfort. He was overjoyed that his daughter still came here to cook for him on a regular basis. Previously, the daughter had opposed Mr. Kang's drinking, but today she not only cooked a delicious meal, but she also bought her father a bottle of good wine. Father and daughter had dinner together and told each other many amusing stories. Mr. Kang then pondered and asked his daughter, "Is there anything you want to tell, Dad?" Mr. Kang's daughter just said that she was very happy because he was always healthy and happy. but she wanted to say something that she always kept in her heart. It turned out that the daughter was always opposed to her father doing the job of picking up dead bodies for wages. The villagers claimed that Mr. Kang was dishonest when he took advantage of the unscrupulous job to make money. Mr. Kang raised his face before his daughter finished speaking. He used to hear people whispering behind his back saying such things, but now even his daughter was opposed to his work. His wife died young, and he had to do everything he could to earn money to raise her. Mr. Kang didn't care what other people said, but today, hearing his daughter say that, he felt disappointed. Mr. Kang immediately stood up, enraged, and scolded his daughter for failing to sympathize with him. Mr. Kang walked out angrily after arguing with his daughter, refusing to look back even though his daughter was calling him. Mr. Kang was extremely frustrated at the time, and even his own daughter looked down on him. Mr. Kang had only taken a few steps outside when it began to rain. He felt as if God was against him. Mr. Kang walked back to the shack where he used to rest by the river in the rain. He lay in the shack with wet clothes, huddled up, and it showed that Mr. Kang was very cold.
Damn, Kang is in a hard place, man.
He couldn't help but cry when he thought about everything that had happened and how much bitterness he had suffered. It kept raining continuously. Mr. Kang had no idea when he fell asleep. All of a sudden, he vaguely heard the sound of rain outside the shack, mixed with his daughter's voice calling him. He got to his feet and looked outside, where he saw his daughter standing in the rain calling to him. Mr. Kang ignored his anger when he saw his daughter soaking in the rain. Fearing that his daughter would catch a cold from the rain, he quickly ran out of the shack. Mr. Kang looked at his daughter as she stood outside in the rain, knowing how much his heart ached. It was just that his daughter's behavior was a bit strange. She begged Mr. Kang to forgive her for her words earlier, and in the end she said she had to go away, so she came to see him one last time. Mr. Kang found it difficult to understand where his daughter was going as a result of these words. He was being hesitant when his daughter turned around and walked into the river. Mr. Kang rushed forward to stop her, but what he didn't expect was that his hand had already passed over his daughter's body. His hands were shaking. Standing dumbfounded, he kept calling his daughter's name. A hunch told him that his daughter had an accident and tried to come back here to see him.
He's gonna like drown himself
Mr.
by
Kang
accident,
sadly
isn't he?
called out his daughter's name, but to no avail. The daughter went to the cold river bank. The father's heartbreaking scream was drowned out by the sound of rain, making the pain of losing a child almost interminable. From the moment Mr. Kang walked out, the daughter went along the river to find her father, but unfortunately fell into the river and drowned. From then on, Mr. Kang rode on the river to help retrieve the dead body and didn't take a penny.
Yeah, what the fuck? Nice Gamma. It's like one of my favorite movies ever.
In December 1989, the event occurred in Hong Kong's North District, which was an international municipality in the New Territories. There was an old restaurant called Kong Cha that specialized in various types of appealing cuisine, but generally only offered char siu, rice, and pho. Another day, Sheng, a young guy working at the restaurant, received a call to order food for 4 people, including pho and grilled pork rice with eggs. It's at number C, building B in the Garden Plaza, isn't it? Okay, I'll deliver it to you right now. Sheng instantly grabbed a pen and notepad to jot down the address. He then proceeded to deliver food to clients. This address wasn't difficult to find, so Sheng didn't have to spend too much time to look for it. It was an ancient building. It was chilly and appeared like it hadn't been occupied in a long time. When he arrived at the correct address, he raised his hand and rang the doorbell. A blast of wind blew, sending shivers down his spine. But the doorbell rang for a long time. No one opened the door, and the posters strewn in front of the door indicated that this home had appeared to be abandoned for a long time. Sheng rang the doorbell many times more, but no one replied or opened the door. Sheng wondered if he had misspelled the address, since the restaurant had been quite busy before. Thinking he'd been scammed, he turned his back to return to the restaurant, but as he did, a voice in the room sounded from behind Sheng. It sounded like someone was attempting to open the door. He thought he heard a voice, but it was foggy and indistinct. The door suddenly opened with a creak, accompanied by a terrible sound made Sheng nervous. The door was opened to expose a small gap, but the interior was so dark that Sheng couldn't see what was inside. The person inside only spoke in a low, raspy voice and very slightly opened the door, as though no one was permitted to peek inside. Then that person handed a banknote through the gap of the door. This person's hand was really odd. Even though the person opened the door slightly and placed the money outside, Sheng couldn't see who it was. It appeared to be a male. Sheng carefully examined the note. There was no issue. Sheng thought the man was strange when he instructed him to leave the meal at the door. That night, the restaurant was being cleaned up and getting ready to close. While auditing the income and expenses for the day, the owner noticed something odd. He discovered a joss paper among real money. He had no idea where this note originated from, but it made him feel extremely uneasy. Who is taking part in this game?
What?
Why is there a joss paper here? Mr. Lee displayed the note to the employees and cautioned them. He suspected that real money had been switched for joss paper. He tried to mention it aloud so that the staff wouldn't do it again, but he became enraged and tossed the joss paper in the garbage. The next day, an order for dinner came from that address again, and they ordered the restaurant to serve them the same meal as yesterday. The owner promptly confirmed the order and asked Sheng to continue delivering. However, the situation with food delivery remained same from yesterday. Money was still given through the door gap, and food was still requested to be put at the door. The people inside were still not revealing themselves. Who did it? Do you think I'm a moron? The owner's voice continued to yell loudly. The reason was that he spotted a joss paper again at night. Seeing the boss was so upset, Sheng then informed him about the unusual food delivery to that address. For a long time, the owner reasoned that if the residents in that house continued to order meals from the restaurant, he would find out the truth. The next day, as predicted, there was an order from that address again. The owner personally delivered the meal to the location and received the cash from the door gap. He picked up the bill and carefully examined it, flipping it back and forth, but he couldn't see anything suspicious about it. The owner, like Sheng, placed food at the door. He hastily grabbed the money and departed, his face now full of contemplation mixed with bewilderment. Returning to the store, he placed the money aside, this time to observe if anything odd happened, in order to prevent the same misunderstanding as the previous 2 times. After the owner had completed calculating other income, he glanced at the bills in the evening, but what he saw shocked him. This occurrence terrified him so much that he dropped his cigarette and his mouth wide open as if he had witnessed something awful. Those seemingly regular money notes he had placed in a different corner of the table had now been transformed into joss papers once more.
Really was that sound.
The owner was so terrified that he yelled to the police in a quivering voice. Police! It's me! Something awful has occurred. Please be here as soon as possible. Following to what the owner said, the police hurried to the location, but they discovered that the doorbell was entirely broken and no one came to open the door. The cops had to use force to smash the door down. However, once inside, they discovered that the door was locked from the inside, but the horrifying image in front of their eyes caused them all to fear. There was a mahjong table in the middle of the room and some dead people next to it. They died in a big puddle of dried blood. These people had been dead for a long time, and their corpses had shrunk, leaving just dry skeletons, and their flesh had disintegrated. Based on the conditions at the site, they were most likely using a coal burner in the room to keep warm, but ended up inhaling poisonous gas. Because these people lived very private lives and didn't interact with anyone, no one discovered their bodies. But the empty lunchboxes littered throughout the room gave the cops pause because everyone in the room was dead. So, who ate the food? These corpses were discovered and transported to the mortuary for forensic testing, confirming that they had been dead for more than a week, although the food in their stomachs had only been there for 2 days, which was rice and fur. The test findings astounded the whole Hong Kong police force. The dead man's fingerprints were also discovered on Mr. Lee's joss papers. Soon after, this odd event traveled across Hong Kong and was published by various media outlets. The occurrence became a riddle that the police could not solve.
Honestly,
it had become the Hong Kong's police sole publicly acknowledged super mysterious case in decades. According to the Feng Shui shaman, the spirits of the dead could not leave the building where the incident occurred since there was no sunshine, so they constantly felt they were still alive, and sometimes people still could hear them. That room was filled with the sound of mahjong players. In 2019, Ken and his colleague Kiba went on a business trip to the suburbs. Both returned home after finishing their jobs. Because of going away, and it appeared to be a bit boring, so the two found something to discuss with each other. So Kiba stated that it appeared to be the route where there were many rumors about ghosts. He looked outside, then turned to Ken. Do you believe the rumors about female ghosts appearing on the street? Ken turned to assure him that it was all a rumor. Besides, nothing had happened when they passed by there in the morning. When it came to ghosts topic, Ken was only now paying attention. It was true that the road was very dark and frightening at night. All of a sudden, Ken was startled and slowed down as he noticed a girl ahead of him walking slowly. The girl was dressed in a short skirt which resembled business attire. She had a slim body and walked slowly. Kiba and Ken had just seen the girl when their eyes lit up, and Ken offered to give her a ride. Both sounded the horn to get her attention, but strangely, she still didn't intend to dodge the car or turn around. As a result, Kiba purposefully banged on the car door in order to make a noise and attract her attention. Hey baby, are you hitchhiking? There is a spare spot in our car here. The fact that she didn't react made Kiba a bit impatient.
What?
He leaned forward to get a better look at her, but all of a sudden Kiba was terrified.
Come on, you know,
His
if you hit
voice
on ghosts,
stammered
you're gonna
and
get
his
killed.
expression was amazing.
So let the ghost
At the
approach
point,
you.
Kiba was almost speechless. His entire body stiffened, showing great horror when he saw the girl's face. It was a pale face. Black eye sockets and both eyes and mouth were bleeding non-stop, which was extremely frightening. Kiba was still trembling at the point, stammering that there was a ghost. even though Ken was surprised to ask what happened again and again. Kiba was still terrified and shouted loudly, urging Ken to hurry up. "It was a ghost! She was a ghost! Hurry up!" Ken returned to take a look after hearing Kiba's statement. He was also bewildered by Kiba's demeanor.
Ghost!
Kiba now continued to shout, looking extremely scared. "Hurry up! She is chasing us!" In the end, Ken reflected and asked whether Kiba was trying to make fun of him or not. Under Ken's scrutiny, Kiba did not appear to change his expression, remaining the same white and terrified face. "Don't you believe it? It is a real ghost!" Before he could continue, the scene in front of Kiba caused his face to change color. Ken also became aware of something unexpected at the moment, and he was taken aback. Both of them were terrified now. What the hell was going on? It was still the same girl. She appeared in front of the car, and because it was so unexpected that Ken couldn't control the steering wheel, causing the car to wobble. Ken struggled to keep his grip on the steering wheel, and the car narrowly missed the girl. Because it was right at the turn, it caused the car to swerve to the side and then to the other side, creating a very dangerous situation. After regaining his composure, Kiba breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, nothing had happened. Ken was also sweating at the time. It turned out there was a real ghost. She just walked behind and briefly appeared in front of the car. It was terrifying. The car sped up to a rest stop. Ken immediately stopped the car. Ken quickly got out of the car and urged his friend to pee. Having to meet a ghost made him terrified in order that he almost peed his pants. Ken told Kiba to deal with it quickly and got back into the car. Ken and Kiba stood a few trees apart. The space was quiet and cold. The surrounding forest was also extremely gloomy. Probably because there were no streetlights, and the streets here were so dense that they blocked out the moonlight, making the place even darker and more terrifying. Kiba was comfortably peeing when he abruptly heard a noise from inside the forest. It was a long, frightening howl. It was terrifying. It was the same girl from before. From afar, she had a crooked gait. Her head tilted to one side as if her neck was broken. Eyes and mouth still pouring with blood. She was getting closer to him. As soon as Kiba saw her, he froze. His legs were stiff and he couldn't move. The girl staggered like a zombie. Kiba stood in fear for a few seconds. Then he yelled and dashed towards the car. Ken was leaning against the car, smoking a cigarette, when he noticed his friend running out with a terrifying face. He ran while screaming, "There was a ghost!" Ken rushed in and started the car after realizing that something terrifying had occurred. Ken then quickly stepped on the pedal and drove away. At the moment, Ken and Kiba were convinced that the ghost girl was following them. Now even Ken was shaking with fear. They were both drenched in sweat, but their bodies were cold and shivering. The two were moving at breakneck speed, but the sight in front of them was incredible. Ken's eyes widened in surprise as well. It was her. She stood in front of the car, and by the time they noticed her and realized what had happened, it was too late. There was a horrible noise. Ken crashed straight into her. The force of the impact was so powerful that she was thrown very high in front of them. Blood was dripping like a broken water pipe, splashing everywhere from the air then sticking to their windshield. And in an instant, a long loose head of hair fell in front of the windshield. Her head was dangling from the window, staring them down. Her eyes became bloodshot and almost protruding. The mouth was wide open and it looked terrible. At the point, Ken almost lost control. His hands could no longer direct the steering wheel in front of him. The car collided with a power pole on the side of the road. The power pole shook violently, but unfortunately it did not collapse on the car. The accident was terrifying. The first half of the car was destroyed, and the window was shattered. Kiba then scrambled to get out of the car. He was heavily leaning on the ground as a fulcrum, but at the moment when he raised his eyes, a horrible scene occurred that haunted Kiba for the rest of his life. The female demon flew towards him from afar at breakneck speed. She opened a big mouth with a red tongue protruding in front of him. After the accident, Ken unfortunately died.
Sound like a gnome fart.
In the car. Kiba, on the other hand, was able to save his life because he was treated on time. However, Kiba now had gone insane, and he was still haunted by the ghost girl.
Bringing the ghosts home. All right. This is a pretty good video, though. There's a link to it. Pretty good. Pretty good. No bounce. I saw this the other day. This looked cool.
Cryptids from every state in the United States of America. Alabama. One of the most famous cryptids in Alabama is known as the White Thang.
It's all a lot of there's a lot of these it's just kind of the same style, like a ripoff of what's his name? The one guy who draws stick figures and tells stories.
Or the White Thang of
Samuel.
Alabama. Supposedly, the White Thang is the most famous cryptid from Alabama. The creature has been spotted throughout the
His name's Samuel
1990s,
something.
and the local news, WAFF48, has published articles discussing it. One of the articles discussed how the White Thang and the
The White Thing. Oh my god, Jolly Raiden right in that moment. That's insane. What's up, Jolly? Thanks for that raid, dude. What's going on, everybody? Just watching some bullshit. Appreciate that, though. Go check out Jolly if you haven't already seen his channel. All the bot stuff is broken, so. There we go. Appreciate it, man. Like I said, we're just watching YouTube. But,
Sasquatch are different, but how they may be potentially distantly related. Oh,
None in.
yeah, and if you can tell by the pictures on screen, White Thang is essentially just a big Bigfoot, but he's white, hence the name, Alaska. One of the most interesting
Thang?
cryptids
I've
from Alaska
never heard of
is
that
known as
before in my
Tizara,
entire
and it is
fucking life.
believed to be a sea serpent reported from the subarctic coastal waters of King and Nunavut Islands in the Bering Sea, off the Pacific coast of Alaska. People that have
gotta
claimed
be-
to see
someone
Tizara
made that
typically
up.
claim to either only see their head and neck or occasionally the
no.
tail. Therefore,
Appreciate
the
that,
general
man.
form of this animal is unknown, but it
Hopefully
can
we can,
allegedly rise out of the
back to
water
some
almost 7 to 8 feet.
antibiotic
Its head
and
is snake-like and its tail is flipper.
year or
But the
so.
Tesseract has also been described as a giant caterpillar or
We had a good
worm-like
stream as
creature.
well.
This is essentially the Loch Ness Monster of Alaska. There isn't really much known about this creature, but I thought it would be more interesting than another Bigfoot variant. Just so this list isn't full of them. Arizona, the Mogollon Monster. The
This
Mogollon
channel's
Monster is
basically just-
commonly
what's his
described
name?
as a large
Samuel-
bipedal creature, which means it walks on 2 feet. Originally, I thought that meant it had 2 penises, but it turns out he's not that cool. It's also described as being over 7 feet tall with large red eyes. Its body is
channel
said to be
called?
covered with long, black, or reddish-brown hair with the exclusion of hair on its chest, face, feet, or hands. Reports claim it also has a strong, pungent odor like dead fish, skunk, bad body odor, or even decaying peat moss, or the musk of a snapping turtle. Some people claim that the creature is allegedly nocturnal, omnivorous, and territorial, and sometimes violent. In numerous reports, the monster has been said to emit a blood-curdling scream, described as sounding like a woman in great distress. The Mogollon Monster is also known as the Arizona Bigfoot, and is really just an interesting
Dude,
variant
every
of
state
Bigfoot
has their
with
own
very
fucking
similar
Bigfoot, I
qualities.
swear to God.
Arkansas, the White River Monster. An urban legend in Arkansas
Another
is known as the White River
white
Monster, and it's
monster.
a large creature reportedly first spotted off the banks of the White River near Newport, Arkansas. The White River Monster is reported as having gray skin and as wide as a car and as long as 3 cars. And as news reports spread about
Why
this
that
monster,
car?
the city began construction on a huge rope and net, but the program actually ended due to a lack of materials and funding. The creature was first spotted in 1915 and is even believed to have an impact on
what I wonder though is like which state can actually just claim Bigfoot, like straight up vanilla Bigfoot. No reskin, no fucking other weird things going on, just normal old Bigfoot.
The Civil War. During the Civil War, the White River was used often for transportation. And the
Ohio
monster
is going to be
supposedly
the
blamed for
Ohio
overturning a boat.
grass man.
The monster was notably spotted again in
I feel like Florida is
1937
gonna be
and
the skunk.
1971. And there's over 100 confirmed sightings from 1915 to present day. Basically, one of your run-of-the-mill interesting river cryptids. California, the Dark Watchers. I actually have mentioned the
fuck is
Dark
a
Watchers
Dark
before on my
Watcher?
channel, but I like them, so I'm going to mention them again. Oh, and the video I talked about them in is Scariest Mythical Creatures from Around the World, Part 3. The Dark Watchers are tall, sometimes giant-sized, featureless, dark silhouettes often seen wearing brimmed hats or even carrying walking sticks. They're only seen during sunrise or sunset, and they are motionless, watching travelers from
Never
the
heard of this
horizon,
guy.
typically seen along the Santa Lucia mountain range. The legend states that no one has been able to see them up close, and if you approach them, they vanish. These are harmless cryptids, and some believe
I thought for sure it would just be the Fresno Nightwalker thing, which is like Ben. I think even like Captain Disillusion, like a Fresno Nightwalker debunk, but
they are simply a reminder that you are not alone in these woods and to respect nature and your surroundings, or to be aware at all times. They serve as more or less of a gentle warning, and although creepy, I think they're pretty cool. Colorado, Slide Rock Bolter. Slide Rock Bolter is a really strange
I've
cryptid
heard of this
from
thing.
lumberjack folklore, primarily during the 90s.
yeah, this thing like rides avalanches and like eats people. So like that's how they explain disappearing bodies in like huge curtains of debris and stuff. It's just a fish that like rides the avalanche, basically, I think.
19th and 20th
That's what it
centuries.
does.
It is a creature that is believed to live in the mountains of Colorado, but only on mountains with a slope at an angle greater than 45 degrees. It has a huge head, small eyes, a big mouth, and a tail similar
Yeah,
to a
it's a
dolphin
big
with
fucking
big grab
catfish.
hooks. The best way to describe this cryptid is honestly just a big land whale that slides down mountains to eat people. This creature is said to have caused great unease amongst tourists visiting the mountains of Colorado, and it will often remain motionless for days
you
at
saw
a
that,
time
though, come
until groups of tourists walk by its path. At that point, it will release its hooks from the top of the mountain and slide down the mountain to gulp up the entire group of tourists, or at least so the legend goes. This is definitely an interesting cryptid, but it's kind of funny. And if you plan on going to the mountains of Colorado soon, make sure you get your protractor out to make sure the angle is less than 45 degrees. Or at least look out for any whale-looking things up the mountain. Connecticut, the Melonheads. The Melonheads are actually a folklore
Okay,
that
I've heard of
exists in
this.
Ohio,
I'm from
Michigan, and
Connecticut.
Connecticut, but for this
Regionalized
segment,
that.
we're only going to be focusing on the ones in Connecticut. The Melonheads are described as small humanoid beings
just like
with bulbous
escapees.
heads who occasionally emerge from hiding places and attack people. That's the basic gist. But in Connecticut specifically, according to one telling of the myth, Fairfield County was the location of an asylum for the criminally insane that burned down in the fall of 1960, resulting in the death of all of the staff and most of the patients.
Yeah, so they're just like, this is funny because where I grew up too, there was like another story that kind of reminded me of this. For some reason, like growing up, there was this story of a lab in our town. And there's a lab downtown full of monkeys. For some reason, it started getting spread that the monkeys broke out. And they started like running down a street. They all escaped into the woods. This is a small town in Connecticut. There was not monkeys in a lab. There was no lab. There was no fucking... It was like a... I don't know how it started. They called it the Monkey Speedway. It was just like a normal... It was like a sidewalk on like a river. I don't know. Pretty weird. But also Dudleytown. Dudleytown's probably the coolest spooky thing about Connecticut. There's a lot of dumb spooky things about Connecticut. I don't know why. Haunting in Connecticut. But yeah, Plum Island. There's actually a urban myth that Plum Island is where they developed Lyme disease. It's a big conspiracy. Because basically Lyme disease is like really, really bad in that area of the world. The entire eastern seaboard is where Lyme is the worst, allegedly. There's cases in other parts of the world. It's really just there. It's very bizarre. And of course, there's a rumor that like Lyme disease was developed on Plum Island after World War II as like a fucking bioweapon or whatever. I used to work in a lab actually, and some of my coworkers had worked in Plum Island. Like, they go out there for like months at a time in like shifts and stuff. It's like an animal research station. It's not a real secret lab where they make diseases, but funny that people kind of like proliferated that. I'm
except
doing the
for
same
10
right now.
to 20 inmates unaccounted for, which supposedly
Then yeah, there's also Dudley Town, which is way cooler, and it's just like a ghost town. It's kind of near where Oprah Winfrey actually has like a house, like a couple miles away. For some reason, in Litchfield County in Connecticut, all the famous people who like work in New York City have like their, bedroom mansions and stuff. Actually, I met Kevin Bacon at a Battle of the Bands one time. He like lives out there. This is like 20 years ago, but it's crazy. But Dudley Town is like an abandoned town out there that's in the woods that is apparently haunted. It has like a portal to devil in one of like the basements.
had survived and escaped.
Melonheads are
The
cool
legend
too.
states that the Melonheads' appearance is a result of them resorting to cannibalism in order to survive the harsh winters in the region and inbreeding, which caused their heads to swell up and deform. Less of a cryptid, more of like a fairy tale, mythical creature thing. If I haven't made it obvious yet, I'm kind of using the terms interchangeably. But yeah, that's the Melonheads. Definitely strange. Delaware, the Pukwudgie. If there's any exploring with Josh fans
Pukwudgie?
watching this video, you might be familiar with the Pukwudgie.
I forget that
Pukwudgies
Delaware
are
is even a
mythical creatures
state.
with shape-shifting abilities, also
Oh
known
my
for
God.
luring people to their deaths using magic and
Isn't that the
attacking people
gremlin
with
from
poison
Looney
arrows.
Tunes?
They may seem initially friendly, but they turn hostile towards humans. Legend warns against annoying them while they are being friendly, as they retaliate with mischief and harm. Pukwudgie itself roughly translates to little man of the woods that vanishes. And as far as appearance goes, looks like a human-like creature, albeit much shorter, much hairier, and sometimes seen either naked or with very primal-esque clothing. So if you're ever in Delaware or
See.
even live in Delaware, make sure you watch out for little elf-looking, mischievous little guys in the woods. Florida, the Muck Monster. In late August of 2009, two members of a non-profit called Lagoon Keepers were attempting to remove
Not
what they
gonna talk
thought
about
were
the
a log
skunk ape?
from the Lake Worth Lagoon in Palm Beach, Florida. That log proceeded to give the two non-profit members a runaround of the entire lake.
I don't know who the fuck the Muck Monster is. It sounds like Swamp Thing, but yeah, the skunk ape.
Hi,
I'm pretty sure it was in
I'm Bob
Florida.
Gimlin. I tend to steer clear of video analysis because we are talking about a multi-million, if not billion-dollar industry, which
There it
is the
is.
sole function of deceiving the eye. And this is why
Apparently, it's like a gorilla that got out of a zoo in Florida. Yeah, that's the skunk ape. He just like hangs out in the woods. But look how he looks evil.
I have scrubbed through these photos for years now. This creature, costumed or not, does exactly what a great ape would do in this situation. Textbook. And I can show you. The photos don't appear to have
I
much
guess.
detail at all, but I still see some
You can post a link if it's like relevant to what we're talking about.
Diving deep whenever the boat
To the
came
Muck
within
Monster.
10 feet of it. During the chase, one of the men called this monster the elusive Muck Monster, and the other man filmed the encounter and put it online. The news picked up the story, and the city quickly took note and did almost everything they could to profit off of the situation. T-shirts were sold, specialty drinks were made in bars, and the city even installed viewfinders along the water. The only real visual that we have
Muck
on this creature
Monster?
is its wood-like appearance from part of its back poking through the water briefly, which to me seems similar to a snapping turtle, but who knows. So anyways, this creature did end up being pretty good publicity and a decent boost in tourism, which is kind of funny. But as far as the cryptid goes, there's
know about
not much
that
information.
design for
Georgia, Ultimahaha, or Alti. Basically just the Loch Ness Monster of Georgia. It's believed to live in small streams and abandoned rice fields, and sightings are few and far between. There's not a ton of information about this besides
Rice
the fact
fields
that
in
it's extremely
Georgia?
similar to the Loch Ness Monster, supposedly. But yeah, this one's kind of uninspired. Moving on. Hawaii. Menehune. Okay, this one's actually cool. Menehune are essentially small dwarves that live in the valleys and rural areas of Hawaii, hidden far, far away from
Yeah, that's
human
pretty sick.
settlements. The Menehune are also described as superb craftspeople, building temples, fish ponds, roads, canoes, and houses. Some of these structures that Hawaiian folklore attributed to the Menehune existing. They were said to be in Hawaii before settlers from Polynesia migrated many centuries ago. Their favorite food is banana, but they also like fish. Legend has it is that the
Oh.
Menehune only appear during night, and that is when they spend their hours crafting masterpieces. Not much more is known about the Menyahune, but I think they're pretty cool dudes. They're just doing their thing, living in a cool place, building cool stuff. You can't hate that. Good job,
It's just
Hawaii.
like another
That's a cool
attributing,
cryptid,
like-
or folklore, or
We don't know who
mythical
made these
creature,
things.
or
It's
whatever.
been aliens.
Idaho. Charlie. Charlie, much like Alti, is basically just a Loch Ness Monster dupe, not worth mentioning. Sorry, Idaho.
this.
Do better. I
Idaho?
honestly thought they would have some sort of potato monster, and maybe they do, but I didn't see it. Illinois. The Enfield Horror. This creature is described
I've
as
heard of
having
this.
3
Is
legs,
this a movie?
short body, 2 short arms, and 2 pink eyes as big as flashlights. It stands at 4.5 feet tall and is grayish in color. It's definitely a gross and
It's got like
droopy
a
looking
fucking
creature, and it's
hand.
honestly pretty creepy as well. Its first
Notice
sighting was in the early 1970s in the
underneath.
small town of Enfield, Illinois, hence the name. During one of the first sightings, a very convincing
Yeah, Idaho is pretty much like, just woods when I think about Idaho. I don't know. You would think there'd be plenty of Bigfoot stories.
story got out and got media attention, and this caused a lot of hunters to become excited about the prospect of finding and killing the Enfield Horror. For a
No
while,
Minnesota
tourists
yet.
traveled and hunters began hunting, both looking for this gray creature in the woods. All of these hunts were unsuccessful, and as the hunting and tourism enthusiasm died down, 4 more sightings were reported since. Indiana. Mesha Kennebec. Mesha Kennebec, also known as the Manitow Monster, is an Indiana cryptid that is said to live in Lake Manitow for over
lot of
centuries,
lake
being
monsters.
spotted by Native Americans and early settlers. By those who have seen it, it's been described as 60 feet long with the head of a bull with a serpent body. It is more or less of your run-of-the-mill lake monster, but it wasn't an exact ripoff of the Loch Ness Monster, so I thought I'd give it a bit more attention. Pretty cool, and the Native American ties are always interesting because their folklore is great, but that's about all I got. Iowa. Van Meter Monster. The Van Meter Monster is reported to be a
What the
9-foot tall winged bat-like
Fuck
creature.
is that guy?
also
He's got
known
a
as the
flashlight
Van
for an
Meter
eye?
Visitor. This creature was said to shoot light from its horns and is immune to bullets. Witnesses made plaster casts of its 3-toed footprints after a confrontation. The creature has been seen disappearing into a nearby coal mine, and similar sightings have continued up until the 2010s. Today, there is even a commemorative event,
Never heard
and
of
it's
this
held
guy.
around the anniversary of the sightings. Pretty cool. I like that it gets the community together. It seems scary. Kind of reminds me of Mothman. 8 out of 10. Let's keep going. This video is kind of evolving, so now it's more... now I'm just ranking these guys. Okay. If I lose any more brain cells, this might just end up being a tier list. Kansas. Deer Woman. Deer Woman, or sometimes known as Deer Lady, is
Yeah,
a
alright.
spirit from Native American mythology. She can be seen in 2 forms, either a beautiful young woman with deer feet or just a deer. And her general vibe can kind of shift depending on the context of who she's dealing with, but for the most part, she has her sights set on men who
She?
have harmed women and children, and to them, she is vengeful and murderous, typically known for luring these men to their death. Overall, Deer Woman's got a pretty cool vibe. Good job, Kansas. Kentucky. The Pope Lick Monster. Yeah, you heard that right.
What?
We're already off to a weird start. The Pope Lick Monster. Unfortunately, this monster is not known for licking the Pope, but it doesn't get much better. Pope Lick Monster, or more commonly known as Goatman, is a legendary part man, part goat, and even part sheep creature, reported to live beneath the railroad that goes over Pope Lick Creek in Fisherville, Louisville, Kentucky. Legends about the Goatman claim that it uses hypnosis and voice mimicry to lead trespassers on its bridge either onto the tracks in the way of a oncoming train or
Goatman?
to below the bridge where it can attack them with a blood-stained axe. Typically, Goatman would make its voice sound like the voice of either someone else or even potentially someone familiar to you, making you want to see who's talking to you and where they are. Some legends state that Goatman is so vengeful because he was treated so poorly during his lifetime for being such a different creature, at least different by human standards. And some legends state that Goatman is simply a reincarnation of a farmer who made a deal with the devil. Either way, he's definitely strange looking. And if you're passing by a bridge in Pope Lick, Kentucky, don't lick the Pope, don't go under the bridge, don't go over the bridge, and if you hear somebody you think you know, you don't. Get out of there. Louisiana. Fille Fouillée. To describe what you're looking
Hell
at, let me
yeah.
give you a bit of context. The story of Fille Fouillée starts in Acadia. Legend states that there was a blacksmith named Will Smith. No, not Will Smith. Will Smith. And when Will Smith died and went up to heaven, he was given a second chance at life. But that second life he lived was not a good one. Unfortunately, he chose to do evil this time around. Because of this, the second time he died, the devil doomed him to live on earth forever with only a single coal to warm him. That is why this cryptid or spirit is only really seen as a dimly lit orb in the distance. There is typically no figure associated with this creature.
Never heard of him, but he looks
spends
sick.
his time in the swamps of southern Louisiana, Louisiana, trying to lure people out deep into the swamp.
kind of like a will-o'-the-wisp,
to their death.
yeah.
It is advised that anybody near the swamp at night avoid following any strange dim lights in the distance, as the ending is never truly good. Maine. Kawakwa. Kawakwa is a cryptid from Abenaki folklore from northeastern United States, specifically Maine. The creature is described as a giant, cannibalistic, half-animal, half-human creature that roamed the forests of present-day New England in ancient times.
Never heard of this guy either,
Kawakwa is
and I'm from
described
the
as
area,
being a
kinda.
former human whose heart turned to ice, either because of evil spirit possession or because they committed a crime that was truly dreadful, like cannibalism. The only sensation the Kawakwa is able to feel is an insatiable hunger, and their existence is pretty pitiful. They are no longer claimed to exist, so there is no risk to you or me, but if you have a time machine and go back to ancient times and decide to go to New England of all places, look out for the Kawakwa. It may want
Now, when
to
I
eat
see
you.
Matt
And by
Smith, I'll
may
just
want
think of
to
his
eat you,
Daemon
I mean,
Targaryen.
he will lick and nibble you from head to toe. Maryland. Chessie. Can you guess what this creature is going to be? Did you guess another Loch Ness Monster type creature? Could you guess because the name is completely uninspired? Well, congratulations, you have a
I didn't know New
functioning
England
brain.
had a
Chessie,
flag,
not to be
honestly.
confused with Nessie, as in the Loch Ness Monster, as in the cool one, is a reptilian type creature that is reported to be either black or brown that has been seen as early as 1936 in the Chesapeake Bay in Maryland. Not going to go too deep on this one. Pretty uninspired. Loch Ness Monster clone, Salmonella clone. Sorry,
Yeah.
Maryland. Let's keep going. Massachusetts. Thunderbirds. The Thunderbird is a legendary creature, especially
Oh my god. That's the channel that it reminds me of, is Sal's channel. Why was I thinking Samuel?
if you're a North American indigenous person who's really into art and culture. The Thunderbird is considered to be a supernatural being with supernatural power and strength. A Thunderbird can be best described as a very large eagle with supernatural powers. Some of those powers
Thunderbird
being the
is
ability to
pretty
create
badass.
thunder by
Yeah, I thought it
simply
was an
flapping
Native
its
American
wings, and also the ability to cause lightning by flashing its eyes. The Thunderbird has very deep ties to indigenous people's history and culture, and for that reason, the history and lore is deep, and I'm definitely doing it a disservice by going over it this quickly, but it's pretty cool. 10 out of 10. Good job, Massachusetts. Michigan.
I wouldn't say Massachusetts,
Dogman.
though.
The
Really?
Michigan Dogman
thought
is essentially the
Southwest.
Michigan equivalent of a werewolf, but it's still kind of
know.
cool. The Michigan Dogman is a cryptid that was allegedly witnessed in 1887 in the lower
Fucking
peninsula
dog,
of
man.
Michigan. It is described as being a 7-foot-tall blue or amber-eyed bipedal canine with the torso of a man and a fearsome howl that sounds like a human screaming. According to the legend, the Michigan Dogman only appears in a 10-year cycle that falls on years ending in 7. For
Yeah, we'll check
example,
it out after this.
2007, 2017, 2027. The majority of these sightings have taken place in the southern part of Michigan. And for as how ferocious and scary the Dogman may seem, many believers say that the Dogman can be scared away simply by clapping at it, which is kind of hilarious. Oh, and if you're able to scare
Oh.
away the Dogman without using your hands, give me a call. Only because I totally might need you to save me one day. Minnesota. The Wendigo. The Wendigo is by far one of the most
Even Minnesota,
well-known
the
mythical
Wendigo?
creatures, folklore creatures, urban legends, cryptids, whatever you want to call it. If you're watching this video, you probably know about it. And honestly, for good reason. It's cool looking, the lore is deep, and it might even be real. I've already discussed it on the channel, but I'm going to describe it again because it's really cool and I know you guys want to hear it. For starters, the Wendigo isn't just from Minnesota. It's kind of from all over the place, all across North
Not what I'm
America. I
thinking
felt
of
it
when I
was
think of
best
that.
fitting here because Minnesota was kind of slim pickings, and it was a good middle ground between all of the possible
thought it would have been
locations
in
Wendigos could be from.
Appalachian
The Wendigo
for
is
some
often
reason.
said
I
to
don't
be a
know why.
malevolent spirit, sometimes depicted as a creature with human-like characteristics which possesses humans. The victims of the Wendigo feel an insatiable hunger and have the desire to eat other humans and commit horrible murders often. In some representations, the Wendigo is described as a giant humanoid with a heart of ice and whose approach is signaled by its foul stench and sudden,
Why does it have, like,
unseasonable
a
chill. If
fucking
this sounds
Triforce
familiar, it's
in
likely
there?
because we just spoke about the Kawakwa, which is a very similar creature with its hunger and heart of ice. And I'm not sure who came first, the chicken or the egg, but I know that the Wendigo is a lot more popular. Wendigos are definitely scary and super
Does
interesting
seem like a
cryptids, and I would
really
recommend looking into them deeper,
common
or
myth.
maybe watching this
you
video
eat
about mythical creatures that
people,
mentions the Wendigo. But for
you're
the scope
cursed.
of this mega compilation, I'm gonna cut it here. Great job, Minnesota. Mississippi, the Pascagoula River Aliens. The Pascagoula River Aliens aren't just any aliens. They are the aliens associated with the pretty famous UFO sighting and alien abduction account from 1973. For context, on the evening of October 11th, 1973, 42-year-old Charles Hickson and 19-year-old Calvin Parker told the Jackson County, Mississippi Sheriff's Office that while they were out fishing, they not only saw aliens but were abducted by them. They claimed that the aliens paralyzed them but kept them conscious and
Wasn't this
examined
the Men
them
in
for
Black?
hours before later releasing
This is the
them.
Men in
This isn't
Black
about the abduction,
account.
but actually about the aliens themselves. These aliens were described as having robotic slit mouths
maybe
and
not.
crab-like pincers. They had more or less of a humanoid body, commonly associated with gray-ish aliens, but these ones seemed just a little bit different. You be the judge if specific aliens count as cryptids, but in my case they do, and honestly, Mississippi was kind of dry, so I thought this was interesting. Shout out Pascagoula, Missouri, the Ozark Howler. The Ozark Howler, unsurprisingly, is said to live in the
Foot.
dense forests of the Ozarks, which span across Missouri, Arkansas, and Kansas. But for this segment, we're focusing on the howlers that live specifically in Missouri. The howler is typically described as being bear-sized, with a thick body, stocky legs, and black, shaggy hair, accompanied with glowing red eyes and prominent horns. Its cry is often described as being the combination of a wolf's howl and an elk's bugle, also combined with the laugh of a hyena. Sounds like a pretty horrible trio. The howler is said to be a fierce hunter and a protector of the wilderness, also with supernatural abilities and a fierce protective nature. So if you're in the Ozarks, specifically in Missouri, and you don't want to encounter the Ozark howler, respect the wilderness, don't go out at night, and if you do
Alright.
hear a terrifying
eyes are
sound,
scary.
just go home. Montana. The Flathead Lake Monster. Loch Ness Monster variant, but with antlers. The coolest thing about this cryptid is a Native American legend surrounding it, which I'm going to tell now. According to legend,
You think
long
Montana
ago,
would have,
the
like, a
first
bunch?
native tribe to live in the area lived in an island in the
Ah,
middle
shit,
of
we're
the
getting
lake.
mad.
One winter, while they were crossing the frozen lake to move to another camp, two girls saw antlers approximately 2 feet.
Take a short break for a second while this ad plays. We'll be right back, guys.
Scaredy cat.
And I think, yeah, I think we do have his description. Can we take that? Let's take his description. Okay, this is the guy they wanted people in Pennsylvania to be out on the lookout for.
All right. I think the ad's about done.
feet in length protruding from the frozen ice. Thinking the antlers belonged to some animals, the girls decided to chop them off and take them. While trying to take off these antlers with sharp rocks, the antlers started to shake and the ice split open all around them. The monster's head opened, appearing through the ice, and shook its giant antlers. These girls used
Montana,
special
by the
abilities
way.
to transform into balls and escape the monster, but half of their tribe drowned in that lake. That's the story. So, moral of the story, don't steal antlers you find in the ice, because if you do, you might live if you have the ability to turn into a ball, but you're gonna kill all your friends, so don't do it. Nebraska, the Alkali Lake Monster. The Alkali Lake Monster is a huge alligator-like horned creature that lives in, you guessed it, the Alkali Lake in Nebraska. It's not a direct Loch Ness Monster ripoff, so that's why I'm giving it a bit more love. This monster is claimed to have rough grayish
50%
brown skin and also
monsters.
is 40 feet long, and like I mentioned before, it has a horn in between its eyes on its head. The legend states that this lake monster consumes livestock in large quantities, causes earthquakes, and even disorients travelers that get too close to it. According to my research, I couldn't confirm if it was believed to be supernatural or not, but I'm gonna assume it was because not many creatures cause earthquakes. Unless they're super thick, which is a completely different story. Nevada, Tahoe Tessie. Nevada's Loch Ness Monster, moving on. New Hampshire, Wood Devils. Wood Devils are believed to be one or a small group of Bigfoot-like creatures in the woodland hills of Coos County, New Hampshire. They've been spotted since the 1930s and described as tall, around 7 to 9 feet, with shaggy tan gray hair and very similar to Bigfoot's, besides the fact that they are slightly skinnier. A strange trait about this cryptid specifically is that they refuse to hide behind trees. If they are already behind a tree, they will hide behind it. But if humans are
I've heard of
coming near
this.
them and they are not near cover, they will simply stand still and stare at you until you leave. Kind of creepy, kind of cool. That's about it. New Jersey, the Jersey Devil. The Jersey Devil is a legendary
makes
cryptid
sense.
that is said to inhabit the forests of the Pine Barrens in South Jersey. This cryptid is described as a two-legged, goat-like, bat-like creature with hooves. Let me explain. The creature is said to walk on two hooved feet, have a goat-like body and a horse-like head with two large, leathery, bat-like wings on its back. It's also said to have a forked or pointed tail as well. Oh, and its hands aren't hooves, its hands actually have claws. The legend states that it moves quickly and is often described as emitting a high-pitched, blood-curdling scream. This may sound obvious, but the New Jersey Devils, the official NHL team of New Jersey, is actually named after this cryptid, which is pretty cool. Now that I think about it, this might be the first time I've ever mentioned sports in this channel, which is kind of funny. New Mexico, Teratorns. Okay, this one's a bit interesting because this is actually a real creature kind of mixed with cryptid mythology. Teratorns are prehistoric birds that were the ancestors of modern-day vultures. Skeletons that have been found measure their wingspans to be over 20 feet long, and they were thought to have weighed over 100 pounds, which for a bird is insane. These birds are presumed to be extinct, but they have found numerous skeletons. Why I mention this on this list is because in New Mexico, the Thunderbird cryptid mythology that we mentioned earlier exists in New Mexico as well, and it is believed that the Thunderbirds were potentially based off of the Teratorns, which existed long before ancient peoples, but they still somehow had knowledge of them and maybe even encountered them. New York, Champ. Champ is the Loch Ness Monster of Lake Champlain in New York. That's about it. North Carolina, Wampus. Wampus, or the Wampus cat, is a cryptid based in Appalachian folklore. It is described as a fearsome hybrid between a mountain lion and a woman, but kind of just displays itself as a mountain lion with 6 legs. Believers claim that the Wampus cat roams the wilderness, emitting eerie sounds to strike terror into the hearts of those who encounter it. It's simple, but kind of cool. I'll give it that. North Dakota, Thunderbirds. I don't know how I accidentally made this the same cryptid for 2 different states, and this is the 3rd mention I've had of this cryptid in this video, so yeah, Thunderbirds, woo, let's keep going. Ohio, Loveland Frogman. The Loveland Frogman is simply described as a humanoid frog creature that stands at about 4 feet tall. Honestly, more of a chill dude than a cryptid, but figured you guys would like him. Say hi, Frogman.
Did there.
Oh yeah. If you've made it this far, say hi Frogman in the comments to say hi to Frogman and also to confuse people that haven't made it this far yet. Oklahoma, the Oklahoma octopus. The Oklahoma octopus is a cryptid that is said to live in man-made freshwater lakes in Oklahoma where it attacks and kills unsuspecting swimmers, and that's it. Oregon, Gumbaroo. The Gumbaroo is described by early lumberjacks as being larger than a bear with tougher, shiny black skin that absolutely nothing could pierce. It is even claimed that bullets just bounce off the thing. And according to the legend, the only way to kill it is with fire. And if you set it on fire, it literally explodes. This cryptid does have a good name, so congrats, Oregon. Nice job, Gumbaroo. Pennsylvania, the Squonk. Shout out to Pennsylvania for having one of the most depressing cryptids there is. The squonk is more or less of a pig-like creature that only walks around at dusk and dawn. It is covered with extremely loose skin that is littered with warts and moles. The squonk is famously known for being perpetually unhappy and always crying, like a lot. Skilled hunters can even track down the squonk by finding its tear-stained trail. And when the squonk is concerned, frightened, or feels like it may be in danger, it can literally dissolve into a puddle of tears to escape any danger. Doesn't get much sadder than that. Rhode Island. Vampire Mercy Brown. The cryptid for this one technically is just vampires, but this story is kind of interesting and unique to Rhode Island specifically. The Mercy Brown vampire incident occurred in 1892 during what is known now as the New England Vampire Panic. At the time, tuberculosis was running rampant, and for some reason, people thought that this disease outbreak was caused by the influence of the undead. During this time, the people would perform rituals to banish the undead from our plane of existence forever. Why this is called the Mercy Brown vampire incident is because during this time, the Brown family had their daughter, Mercy, die of tuberculosis. Friends and neighbors of the Brown family believed that one of the family members was a vampire, although they didn't call them that at the time. This was in accordance to folklore at the time, which linked multiple deaths in a family to undead activity, aka vampire activity. The story goes a lot deeper, but as you know, this video is long. Rhode Island, vampires, let's keep going. South Carolina. The Gray Man. The Gray Man is a legendary cryptid from South Carolina that is considered a friendly ghost. He appears on beaches and shores, particularly before hurricanes and other strong storms. The legend states that he was on his way to propose to the love of his life when he was killed, and now his spirit wanders South Carolina, warning others of impending danger. The legend states that if you encounter the Gray Man before a storm, you will be protected and your entire house may be saved. This is a pretty interesting and potentially our first upbeat cryptid on the list, so good job, South Carolina. I like this one. South Dakota. Tekuhi. Tekuhi means big man in the Lakota language, who are the indigenous peoples of South Dakota. Tekuhi is said to be a supernatural being who serves as a guardian spirit protecting land from invaders and malevolent creatures that hunt humans and animals. He is a cryptid that protects the nature and humans and animals from other cryptids, and for that reason, he's okay in my book, which is why I discussed this Bigfoot dupe. Tennessee. The Tennessee Wildman. The Tennessee Wildman is basically the opposite of Tekuhi. Like Tekuhi, he is a 7-foot-tall, dark-haired, humanoid creature, although that's about where it ends. He has piercing red eyes and screams a disturbing war cry that frightens anything that hears it. He smells awful, kind of like Bigfoot, but he is extremely aggressive. The Tennessee Wildman is extremely strong, fast, and agile, and is extremely territorial as well. He has an obsession with targeting dogs and women, and although he is typically seen trying to attack women, he has never been successful, as these women always find a way to escape. What do you guys think? Evil Bigfoot, cool or not cool? Texas. Donkey Lady. Donkey Lady is the famous cryptid said to haunt the Donkey Lady Bridge in San Antonio, Texas. According to the legend, the bridge is inhabited by the spirit of a woman who is horribly disfigured by a fire, leading to her being referred to as...
Isn't that just the same story as the Goat Man? He like inhabits a bridge. In fact, I think this is the Goat Man Bridge. What's going on here?
The Donkey Lady. It is said that she haunts the bridge, appearing to unsuspecting travelers who pass by, and the legend also states that she may even chase or attack those who get too close to her bridge. Kind of feel bad for the lady. She got made fun of for something she couldn't control, but at least she's getting revenge. Good for her. Do you, Donkey Lady? Utah. Skinwalkers. No video about cryptids is truly complete until you mention skinwalkers, and this video is no different. In Navajo culture, a skinwalker is a type of harmful witch who has the ability to turn into, possess, or disguise themselves as an animal. Skinwalkers typically use these disguises or possessions to stalk their prey and kill and attack people. They also have other supernatural abilities such as super strength and voice mimicry to lead people to their certain death. The skinwalker lore is deep and goes far beyond the scope of this video, but I have made a video discussing them in the past. They're very cool, and check them out after this video if you want. Vermont. The Northfield Pigman. The Northfield Pigman is a cryptid or urban legend from Northfield, Vermont. Descriptions of the pigman vary, but
imagine
he is
a whole army
as a
of
humanoid
pigmen.
creature with the body of a large pig, but with the features of a man. Sightings of the pigman have been reported across rural areas surrounding Northfield and often in the vicinity of old farmhouses or abandoned buildings. Some interpretations believe that pigman is the result of an experimentation gone wrong or a spirit of a deceased farmer seeking revenge. although the origins are still unknown and often debated. Pigman is definitely creepy and sometimes is even described as just a boy that went missing in the woods who decided to wear a pig's face as a mask. But yeah, lots of lore, kind of creepy. Good job, Vermont. Virginia Snallygaster. Like almost every cryptid, descriptions of the Snallygaster vary, but it is often depicted as a fearsome dragon-like creature with large wings, sharp claws, and a metallic beak lined with razor-sharp teeth. According to the folklore, it preys on livestock and unsuspecting travelers, specifically children, by swooping down from the skies and snatching its victims. Some variants of the Snallygaster say it has tentacles instead of razor-sharp teeth, but either way, it's a terrifying-looking creature. Washington, the Conser Lake Monster. The Loch Ness Monster, but in Washington. West Virginia, Mothman. The legend of the cryptid known as Mothman originates from the 1960s in Point Pleasant in West Virginia. Mothman is described as a winged humanoid creature with glowing red eyes and is believed to be a sign of impending disasters. The Mothman legend has taken Point Pleasant by storm, and there is so much tourist attractions based around it, and I have covered Mothman in another video of mine, so I won't go too deep into details. But there are many stories where he is seen jumping at cars from the side of the road and jumping on the top of cars that are parked in rural locations at night. It is a creepy cryptid that showed up and almost as fast as it appeared, disappeared from the zeitgeist. It is now simply a figment of our imagination. Wisconsin, the Beast of Bray Road. The Beast of Bray Road is described as a 7-foot-tall humanoid-style creature covered in hair
seen a movie
or fur
about this
with
guy.
the head of a large wolf that also has glowing red or orange eyes. It's been
Yeah.
seen running on
Isn't there
2
a movie,
and
The
4
Bray
legs, and some reports
Road
describe it
Monster?
as being close to a werewolf, and others say it's more close to a Bigfoot style cryptid. Not really a ton going on here, but what can you expect? It's Wisconsin. Just kidding, Wisconsin. I love ya. Wyoming, Jackalope. Admittedly, this is likely my favorite cryptid on the entire
Got 'em.
list, simply because I find it cute, and honestly, I hope it exists. Or at least did at one point. The jackalope is a cryptid that is described as being a rabbit with antelope horns, and that's basically it. They're pretty iconic in the Wyoming area, urban legend scene, and even pop culture as well. I know this video is alphabetical, but we kind of saved the best for last, unintentionally. And with that, bros, I have to say thank you so much for watching this video. I
All
hope you
the
know that I do take your
monsters.
feedback into consideration, and I know you guys have been asking for longer videos, and I know you guys have been asking for dark mode videos, so I thought with this video, I would give you both of those. Also, it's been a while since I talked about mythical creatures, cryptids, folklore, urban legends, all of it, so I thought, why not bring
There's
it
a link
back
to the
with this
video.
banger video. If you guys like the from every state concept, I would love to do it with more interesting topics. But with that, I'm gonna end this video here. I'm tired, and I need to get a CP Weepy. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always,
No, he did.
trust me, bro.
All right. How about probably gonna wrap it up in a little bit because it's getting so late.
My name is Emerson, and this happened to me in year 7. I lived in an apartment with 20 blocks. Mine was on the 16th block, and I went to visit one of my friends, a couple floors down.
I forgot you sent that. Hold on a second. Let's see what you're talking about before we get off Bigfoot. Real Bigfoot.
Brother!
Love these kind of videos.
What?
Right.
That work? Mike. Brother. Brother.
This may be the first audio capture of a Sasquatch singing his song. Thank
you.
It's like someone. Sounds like Budweiser. This is real. Look, it's real. You know what that reminded me of?
It red, it red, it red, it red, it red. Do 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 do. It red. Do 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 do. Ooh da do. It red. Ooh da do. It red. It red. It red. It red. It red. It red. Do 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 do. It red. Do 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 do. Ooh da do. It red. Ooh da do. It red.
I don't even remember this one.
Re 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 Did do it do do did do it do did do it do do did do it do 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 did do it do do did do it do did do it do do did do it do did do it do did do it do 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 do
Do do do do.
It was so good, Dad. It tastes okay.
Attention passengers, this is your captain speaking. At this time, we ask you to put your seat backs and tray tables in their full upright positions, and please make sure your seat belts are correctly fastened.
Cabeza de melón loco.
Do you guys know what cabeza de melón loca means in Spanish? Crazy something. Crazy melon head. That was gonna be my second guess. Sure, Tristan. Whatever you say.
Hey gang, just checking in on you. How you guys doing on popcorn?
I think we're soft. It was so good, Dad.
It tastes
This
okay.
is Home Improvement.
It was so good. You're on
Continuation.
Seriously, we really appreciate it. What about drinks? Everybody good on pop?
Can I actually have another one?
Tim
One
Allen.
pop, going once, going twice.
Dad, you need second hand?
No, I think I can handle it.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm good. Enjoy the movie, guys.
Your dad is seriously so sweet.
Oh, Dad's amazing. There's no doubt about that. No look in all eyes, our Dad is Superman.
He's seriously incredible. And his story.
You ladies seriously don't even know.
Hey gang, sorry to bother you again.
Oh, no,
Looks like we're out of pop, so I'm just gonna run to the grocery store and get a 12-pack or something.
Oh my God, Dad, out of the question. She's totally fine with water, Dad.
I'm really sorry about that.
Come on, sit down and enjoy the movie with us.
You sure?
We'll make do. Yeah, we'll make do, Dad. Dad seriously needs to see the meteor scene. Save the reins, Duncan. Hot potato.
I'm just over here trying to figure out how I've been blessed with such great sons.
Hop in, Dad. The water's warm.
Your mom would be very happy right now if she was still alive, I'll tell you that right now.
No, Dad. Raising 3 boys on your own, it's gotta be difficult, Dad. Mom's super proud of you. And that's a fact, Dad. Mom's here with us right now, Dad.
Yeah. We'll have to appreciate it more.
I can't be the only one that thinks that, right?
I'm not exactly sure that's how that works. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. Oh my god, did you just snort? Okay, because that's freaking adorable.
All right, Gangburger should be done in about 10 minutes. Are there any vegans in the audience? Any vegans? Speak now or forever hold your peace.
Vegans? Okay, Dad's officially lost his marbles. Haha, very funny, Dad.
What? You can never be too careful these days. I'm likely to be sued or something if I don't ask.
True.
Okay, so...
Sad but true.
All right, show of hands. Who wants cheeseburgers?
Okay, Dad's cheeseburgers are seriously the best. Trust me on this one. I want to see everybody's hands up. Let's go. Hoist them up.
And the vote is unanimous.
All right, let's give it up for the chef. A round of applause. Let's hear it.
Thank you, thank you. You're too kind. Thank you.
Oh my god, Dad, please, please, please do the Elvis impression for the girls. Do it, do it, do it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. I don't need a cheeseburger. I don't even need a vegan burger. I just need a peanut butter and banana sandwich. A honka honka, pretty mama.
Encore, encore.
Honka honka, pretty mama. Damn. Screwed it up in a couple places. Not my best work. God damn it.
No, Dad, seriously. Super funny,
Oh,
Dad.
thank you. Thank you very much.
Dad, that was hilarious. We're truly blessed to have you in our lives, Dad. And we're so appreciative of what you do and what you
Wait,
bring
you don't
to the
like this family?
Dad. Bang up job
Awesome
raising
family?
3 boys on your own, Dad. Seriously, Dad, kudos. Oh my god. What? What happened? I think Mom tugs on my toes underwater. Say that again, Preston. I want to make sure I heard you correctly. I think Mom's just trying to tug on my toes. Dad, Mom grabbed Preston's toes and dragged him underwater.
Wow, her powers are getting stronger. Ask her if she wants a cheeseburger.
Their mom is a ghost. It's actually pretty scary.
Preston, aka Shooter McGavin, has 2 balls left. Can he make them in back to back? Yes, he will. It's your birthday. It's your birthday. Okay, I'm pretty sure this is illegal in 37 states.
Ziggy zaggy, ziggy zaggy. Oi, oi, oi.
Damn it. Well, that's not what I meant to do. No, not gonna count that.
You got robbed.
Put the ball back. You guys sure? You got robbed, Preston. It's as simple as that. Really, I just feel bad for Dad. Is he seriously putting something off again? He does realize it's 9 o'clock on a Saturday, right? He's been working so hard since Mom passed away. As far as I'm concerned, we're gonna put an end to that tonight. Well, first things first, we're gonna invite him up here and we're gonna play a round of billiards. Well, that's the best idea I've heard all day, Duncan. Dad,
Hey,
ball 14 has your name on it. Let's close up shop. Come on.
All right, just give me a moment to wrap
He's
something
Tim
up.
the
there.
Toolman Taylor.
I'll be up there in a moment.
Come on, Dad. Time to close up shop. I'm not gonna take no for
Hey
an
now,
answer.
Preston, come on.
You're gonna work yourself into an early grave, Dad.
Is that what this is all about? Why don't you do me a favor and go see what I printed off upstairs?
I'm not following, Dad.
No way, Dad. Are you freaking kidding me? Oh, no way.
Wait, seriously?
Welcome aboard. Enjoy your time with us.
Thank you so
I'm
much.
sure we will.
plan on Nabila, was it? Beautiful name. Thank you
Appreciate
so
you.
much, Nabila.
Don't you want to go on a cruise with your 3 brothers and your dad?
Now this I could seriously get used to.
If your mother was here, she'd be going down the water slides right now.
Mom is here right now, Dad. You hear that? That's the sound of Mom laughing. God, I love her laugh. She's in hysterics.
Now what in the Sam hell?
Hey, eyes on me, Dad. Mom is super proud of how you're raising her 3 baby boys. As a token of her appreciation, Dad, Mom has gifted you this fish. May Mom's glory be a nourishment unto your body, Dad. Looks like a 20-pounder. Not a bad catch, huh, Dad? Doesn't get any fresher than that. Cat got your tongue, Dad? Look at him. He's still trying to process.
Well, I didn't know we were having sushi tonight.
This world is bullshit. The Irish used to run this town. We tried it the yuppie way, but that's no more. No more touchscreens, no more Golden Globes, just the Irish mob. I'm talking about a bunch of guys standing around a warehouse smoking Camel Wides and wearing leather jackets. I'm talking about guys who are loyal, strong, fast, eat fast, got DUIs, don't drink water, hit their kids, and only drive vans. I'm talking about guys that know the power of music.
Take me down to the paradise city where the grass is green and girls are pretty. Oh, won't you please take me home? Yeah. Talking about running numbers. I'm talking about hanging out in a bar with a bunch of like 50 dogs. And everybody's petting the dogs and everybody's drinking beer out of little tiny glasses. Big Peppy Daddy walking around.
Peppy Daddy.
We gotta go back. Talking back when the Irish were big.
We're restarting the Irish mob.
Irish mob?
Yeah, we're gonna restart it. I'm restarting the Irish mob.
Okay.
Yeah, you wanna be in it? Well, it's all guys, all guys.
I'm only half Irish.
That's all right. Hey, De Niro's half Irish, right? So yeah, we'll hit you up. What's your name? Turtle.
Turtle?
We're restarting the Irish mob. You wanna join?
Sure, why not?
You do?
No.
Oh.
I give up every
I'm sure that's not the
computer to
end.
bring the mob back. I hate this shit.
I hate this shit.
In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Irish mob. Move over, Ed Sheeran. There's a new Irishman.
Wonder if Ed Sheeran's ever seen that video. You probably should check it out.
The Pleasant Prairie Premium Outlet Malls is strategically located on the Wisconsin-Illinois border, a high-value target for ISIS, and this is the man who protects it.
My name is Scott Andrews, and I protect the Pleasant Prairie Outlet Malls for ISIS!
Every day I wake up, I come down here to the outlet malls, which is the #1 target in my area, and I kind of search for bombs and shit, make sure there's no ISIS MFers walking around. I guess you could say I don't have any military experience, but I have seen the Benghazi movie over 200 times. Boom, gang! I'm a brand! I first saw the Benghazi movie and I was like, WTF is this? How did this happen? Why did this happen? And can this happen in my area? So I started taking a look at what was, the targets in my area of Kenosha, Wisconsin, and I realized that the most valuable target is the Pleasant Prairie outlet malls just outside of the city. I read statistics that are like so fucked up that you would never even believe. Like 300 people every day die taking a shit at McDonald's. I do hope that there is an attack though. If I'm being honest, I don't want to fucking come down here for nothing. You know what I mean? Huh? Adidas, I'm Under Armour. Watch out, we're gonna fight. You know what I mean? Let me know if you see ISIS. I go on 4chan all the time. I look at sick fucking shit on 4chan. I look at sick fucking shit on Reddit. You see anything suspicious? All right, let me know. I'm trying to make sure nothing pops off. No ISIS stuff.
Every outlet mall does have this guy though.
Okay. Keep it going. Come on. Go. Let me tell you something. You're gonna love the clothes of Eddie Bauer. Okay.
If you've never seen this guy at the outlet mall, you might be him.
See any like ISIS guys or anything like that? I'm married too, so but she used to be my stepsister.
This is Janet. She's my wife and ex-stepsister.
Our parents were wearing noise-canceling headphones walking down the train tracks. Then a train came and their bodies exploded into ground beef.
But it's okay because it let us be able to get married.
He's my husband and my brother.
And she's my sister and my wife.
Do you think these NFL players should stand?
Yes.
Yeah, right?
Right.
Sick of this.
I think he is a hero. He gives his life every day to the outlet malls, and no one thanks him. Every day he tells me how grateful he is to the outlet malls and how blessed he is to have access to its premium brands.
These aren't just fucking brands, these are members of my family. They sit at my table. I welcome Calvin Klein into my house. Skechers is my uncle. Oshkosh Bagash is my little cousin that's nasty, but he's funny too. Brands aren't companies to me, they're people that I want in my house.
Brands are the only thing in my life. I don't give a F about my family. I care about the outlet mall. I'm prepared to fucking die for the outlet mall.
I went to a tooth doctor once and he said, "What the fuck is going on with your mouth, son?" And I was like, "I like candy, I like Pepsi, I like Sprite, I like hot dogs." And he was like, "I can fucking tell. Them teeth stink like shit." Hey!
That's too bad. What happened? All right, we're gonna ramp it up real quick.
My name is Emerson, and this happened to me in year 7. I lived in an apartment with 20 blocks. Mine was on the 16th block, and I went to visit one of my friends, a couple floors down. We had a good time together, and after 2 hours, I decided it was time to leave. But right before I left, there was a nasty, rotten smell. I shrugged it off, thinking I was drunk, but it was not because of that. When I walked outside, I saw dead bodies in front of doors. A chill ran down my spine. I was thinking about staying at my friend's for the night, but I had left chicken in the oven so that when I came back it would be ready. I called the cops and they told me not to touch the body. I went to the balcony to get some fresh air after what I just saw, but the thing I saw next made me sick to my stomach. There was a guy dressed up as a Grinch. At first I thought it was a prank because we were 2 days away from Halloween, but I saw blood on his clothes. I'm pretty sure he was the killer of that body we found. I tried stepping away quietly, but I guess that guy heard me because I heard him running towards my direction. I quickly ran to the elevator. I looked back once and I saw that same Grinch. I got on the elevator right before he could get in, but as I was going down, I heard him say, "See you at the 16th floor, Emerson." How did this guy know my name and my floor? I had to act quickly, so I stopped at the 17th floor. I was right on top of the floor he was in, so I heard his wicked laugh. I went back in the elevator and went all the way to the parking floor to hide in my car. But while I was going down, I got a call from my friend saying that security was dead. That meant that the Grinch person killed the security guy. I told my friend to meet me at the parking floor. But I did not know what was waiting for me on the other side. As the elevator door opened, I saw that same Grinch person. He pulled out a gun and said, "Nice try, bitch." I ran screaming, but he just laughed and shot me right in the ear. The next thing I knew, I woke up in the hospital. Apparently, the police came right before he could shoot me again. I could not
This is
provide
from like
much
years
detail
ago.
about him, as he had
People
a
have
whole
been
Grinch suit
saying
on,
that on
which
videos where I've
covered
watched
most
this
of his
video. They're
body.
like, "Whoa, what the fuck? Did this
Sadly,
predict
my
that?"
friend did not make it either. It turns out he had 2 of his friends with him and stabbed my friend to death. The police eventually found that person and was sentenced to life in prison. But I know how smart that person is because of how he figured out my plan. I really do not want to see that person again, because if I do, I will probably not be able to hold it for longer. I still wonder what would have happened if the police did not arrive right before I got shot.
What about that chicken? Whatever happened to the chicken? Oh, no one's saying anything. Interesting. Very interesting. All right, guys. I'm gonna wrap it up. This is getting late. Appreciate you all being here. Drop off a follow. Come on back to the Discord. Check out my YouTube. There's all the other things. Now there's a Twitter. And I'll see you guys soon. I guess. We'll what's this? Fox running away with a phone. All right, we can check this out real quick.
It's recording. Don't you do anything to my phone. Dixie, it's my phone. Dixie,
Just burying a phone.
Dixie.
Is that actually the sound the fox makes? Imagine your phone gets just fucking buried. Never see it again. This is insane. It's kind of insane.
You try to bury it.
Like a domesticated one? What the heck?
That was pretty funny. That was pretty funny. I give you that.
Giant fox. Just meat carrion and foxes. I guess. See you soon. Like I said, it's getting late. I'm gonna wrap it up. Come on back. Always something weird going on like that here. We watch all sorts of cool stuff. So if everyone chill, just come back and check out the stream. All right. Sorry, I'm fucking exhausted. Go get some rest. Have a good night, everybody.